Thank you for joining this conversation. I don't know if you've seen the first episode of the Data Space Café, but we have explored the side of business models and data space, which is a challenge. And by digging into that question on Startin'blox side, we kind of ended up with a conclusion that there was a lot of traction for AI, and maybe that's a good segue for Data Space to find relevant business models to see if there is not an opportunity for data spaces that we are building on the AI side. And so it's partly why we wanted to bring this topic on this collaborative table. I suggest that we start with a quick roundtable for that we kind of all know who is in the room. I suggest we keep it as short as possible, but quickly explaining each of us what we do and either what we are working on that is AI related and at the crossroad of AI and data spaces, let's say. And if we don't work on anything, maybe just explain why you felt interested to join the conversation. And so maybe I can kick us off saying that I'm Alex. I'm the co-founder of Startin'blox. So what we do is that we build data spaces for our clients, meaning we set up interoperable data solutions between different organizations. And we are dabbing our finger into interconnecting these data spaces and AI solutions in 3 different data space. One is the democracy data space, the other is STEMS, and a third one is the ag data space that we work on. And I pass it on to you, Mats.
Me, okay. I have one company, it's called Nordic Powerhouse Wallet, and also I'm another company called PlaySafe Ecosystem. So what I'm working on right now is a big project in the semiconductor world, sharing data between the equipment maker and the owners of the machines. So what we do is that we are linking a wallet to each machine. And now I'm also in dialogue with a big fund that will create liquidity in this. And the only way for the equipment owners to get funding is that they share data from the machines. And the biggest problem I have is the trust issues. When it comes to AI, indirectly, I see AI in agentic wallets, so have AI embedded in the wallets, but we're not there yet.
Can you pass it on to anybody on your left?
Okay, I don't see it left. I have it horizontally. So Martin.
Yes, thanks, Matt. So I'm Martin Kooijman, technology entrepreneur, founder of Mirror.report. We started a couple of years ago, initially with creating a dashboard with visualizations of different types of wearables. So we integrated with more known wearables like Apple, Whoop, Aura, etc., to centralize these data and to give that dashboard to a healthcare professional to be able to follow up on his patients from a distance and monitor specific trends. And then afterwards, we deep dived ourselves into sleep and developed over the past year a digital therapy for insomnia that personalizes along the way based on the data that we collect and gather from the patient/client. I'll pass it on to Simon.
Hi, I'm Simon. I'm co-founder of Data Players, and we build AI agent to interact with information system and interact with users. And we build so AI workflow to transform data from a source to a destination or to other action. And we worked with semantic web and data space before, and for now it isn't forbidden way, but it's a path to build interoperability and not the finality in the business environment now. And I pass to Emmanuel. Emmanuel Mondon.
Yes, good morning. Emmanuel Mondon. As you can hear, I'm French, wherever I'm living in Munich, Germany. I have almost 30 years within the geospatial and Earth observation industry. And I am co-leading the GaiaX location ecosystem, and I am coordinating the Space Data Space initiative supported by the European Space Agency. So anything related to geospatial data, XYZ. Pass on to Marc, Cap Digital.
Yes, Marc Bourris. I'm the community leader of cultural and creative industry in Cap Digital. Cap Digital is a non-profit association, and we are supporting a few companies. In my part, in my community, more than 150 companies from several sizes, and particularly now we are supporting them to bring some to deposit some project, collaborative project, and particularly in AI. And we are involved too in a European project where Startin'blox is involved also, which is STEMS, but so we are very interested in AI generative and all the problem with labeling data and how to find and to bring together all the actors to find some open source or open data system particularly.
And you pass it on to Mireille.
Okay, hi everybody. So nice to meet you. I'm working with Simon for Data Players. So yeah, we design customized solutions to answers our client needs in terms of automating repetitive business processes and intelligent portal knowledge portals. I'm happy to join you. I'm joined Data Players for this new orientation, as Simon was saying, since September. And on my side, on the commercial side, I face lots of fears from my clients and first entrance contact with my clients. I have to really reassure them that their data is going to stay safe and that our solutions really brings an answer in terms of expertise and usage cases, that we're not flying high in the AI space world.
Very interesting. So thank you, all of you. Or Sylvain, do you want to present yourself? I do so many calls with you that your background to me. Please present yourself.
I'm Sylvain. I'm a co-founder of Startin'blox as well with Alex. So yeah, he's gonna say more. I'll leave him say more about what we do with AI.
So I prepared a very brief presentation about what we believe is the best intersection between data space and AI, mostly to kickstart the conversation, let's say. And then what I want to make of this time together is that we all share either excitement that we see and opportunities that we see, or as you've just said, Mireille, fears of challenges, and we see if somebody in the room has a solution to our problems or something of that kind. So I kick us off with a quick presentation. I promise that it won't be long. It's mostly to get the conversation rolling. So as you guys know, we work with data spaces. That means we interconnect different.
I think you're not sharing the right tab.
Sorry. Let me try again then. Thank you for pointing this out.
No, oh, sorry. Okay.
Boom. Boom. So now we are good, right?
Sure.
Awesome, thank you. So we work with data spaces. That means we interconnect different systems together, and it's a permission-based access. So if I'm logged in as a user, I only see the data from the other services that I'm allowed to see based on the credentials that I have as a logged-in user. And so what's the intersection that we see with that and Gen AI? AI accuracy depends on the data it's based on, and there are basically two pathways for data in AI. There is the learning data, so the data that you feed into the brain of the system when you're training it, and that data is basically accessible to everybody. So once you've trained your model on that data, the model will spit out that data to whoever is interacting with it. So data spaces can play a part in that, but only with the, let's say, open data part that is being shared in data spaces, which is not really why data spaces were built for. Data spaces were built for being able to share data in a sovereign way between organizations, and that means private data is accessible only to the people that I think are allowed to access my data with the relevant credentials. And so there is also RAG data, which I keep forgetting the acronym, but I'm assuming you know what it means, which is basically customizing the response that the AI system is going to give to a user, or based on the data either of the data space or the company that is providing the AI system. And that data is accessed on the fly, let's say, within the interaction between the user and the AI system. And that means a few things. It means that we can base that access on the credentials of the logged in user, and that the context can be used to access only the relevant part of the data. So that means we can restrict the view of the data to the user interacting with the system. And we believe this is where data spaces shine. This is because you can basically check the credentials of a user and go and fetch only the data that the user has access to, and feed that back to the model so that it can do its magic. So we are experimenting with that idea in 3 different contexts: in the democracy data space, in the European media data space, and in the grazing data space in the US. And so I stop here, and I'm asking to all of you, what do you do with Gen AI? Does anybody want to react, question, or share something? So then I bring you to the spotlight, Matt, because you seem to have use cases around machines data or ships machine data. So
Well,
can you speak a bit
to
about
be
that?
honest, I still in the process of entering the AI. I've been working mainly to
Like all of us.
gain trust. That is my core job right now. But basically, it's OEMs, the equipment maker, needs to get access to data on machines that is already on the market, and they have enormous problems convincing the equipment owners to share data. So that is, but they need to run AI on that data. they have tools, but they don't get access to the data. They can't convince the asset owners to share data. And the main reason is that, I mean, one thing is that they don't have the incentive to do it enough. The other thing is that they are afraid that they are exposing their secret source. If someone knows exactly how they use energy or water or whatever, someone can figure out how they are operating the machine to optimize the results.
Yeah, what would they hope to do by accessing the data to optimize the chip they are making?
Yeah, well, optimize. I mean, let's say you have a input energy, and then you want to have maximized output. So I mean, they also want to know how is the machine used and what is the result, depending how the machine is used. That is the core. And then of course the equipment maker want to feed the owners of the machine with the more and more data so they can optimize their processes. But in my case, it's also about, because we are linking every machine to a Web3 wallet. So it's also, if we can embed a sort of agentic wallet that is also actually optimizing because every machine will have a portfolio of digital assets. So it will be at some point. I'm working with a big fund that want to embed their algorithms in the wallet to optimize the digital assets in the wallet. I hope I made sense now what I'm saying, because I'm jumping right into the core of what we are doing.
No, that's great. I think, Simon, you were raising your hand.
Yeah, I view a lot of usage of Gen AI for data space as data transformation and automatic acquisition of data to inject in data space, or GraphRag with access control and the metadata linked to vector to don't authorize some access or some kind of data for specific usage and specific users. And we can talk about that, but my main question is, do you imagine that vector database and hybrid vector database as GraphRag or AndXRag could replace data space, could replace web semantic as main storage solution? Does some vector database from lot of sources could replace one data space, for example, because vector database could have embedding method, public embedding method, and with this public embedding method, lot of ecosystem, lot of people in ecosystem could access to data from vector database and not from semantic database. Do you imagine that? Is in your mindset? That's my question.
That's an exciting question. Do you have an opinion, Sylvain?
Not necessarily very precise. My general feeling, I guess, would be that there will never be a one solution that fits everything. So we often hear or see AI presented as the magic toolbox that does everything, and just put AI and everything is solved. I don't think that's the case, and I guess yeah, well, there's still a lot of connecting through hard interoperability matters, I guess. I mean, yeah, that's my educated guess at this stage.
And the question of trust that Mats was referring to, I know that we are facing that in the context of ag, where ranchers are looking at us like we are basically telling them, share your data, and AI will help you to optimize your operations. And they are like, I'm not sharing my data. So there is a question of trust, and so we are kind of it's still a work in progress. I don't mean to say we have solved it all, but we are in the process of finding the right intermediaries, let's say. So they are trust anchors in the ag ecosystem, but ranchers trust and are like, yes, if they say they share my data, I trust them, so I entrust them with my data, and then I trust them as well to make good use of it and to share it with where it makes sense to me and my business, and will not empower companies such as dominant companies in the ag space like John Deere, etc., which is kind of a fear of many of them. So, well, long story short, there is also this trust solution, but I honestly do not know the solution you're referring to. So can you put the name in the chat, and I'll be happy to check it some more after the call. Emmanuel, you commented a few things in the chat. Do you want to speak to that?
Yes. Do you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
So I'm not at all an expert and a specialist in Gen AI or whatever AI. But what I see right now, as I'm coming from the geospatial perspective, is the combination of geospatial and AI. And geospatial is everywhere. Basically, more and more data is geolocated. So that's why I was mentioning XYZT in whatever domain business. So there is a kind of movement within the geospatial industry, like any other industry. How can we tackle AI? And I was mentioning an example, DGGS, which is a new coordinating system in order to be AI ready. Because, if we are using the current coordinate system, it's made for human. It's not made for machine. While DGGS is made for machine. So in any activity you are developing, which is including geospatial data and AI, I invite you to look at DGGS. And I was mentioning a company based in Germany named GeoInsight. They are implementing DGGS, which is an open specification within the Open Geospatial Consortium. So the entity which is enabling and editing geospatial open specification. And OGC is running an ongoing pilot combining geospatial, DGS, AI, addressed to natural hazard. So that's one point. The second point, more and more companies are addressing those Gen AI, GeoLLM. I gave one example with AskEarth, which is based in Switzerland, but there are some others. And I'm looking at it because that's interesting as well. And the last point, which is totally different, Mats was mentioning a trust issue. And I was asking to Mats if he knows Axon.xyz, which is an association based in Switzerland, developing a protocol which may help you. I will put in the chat the name of the guy, Emmanuel Deguer, who is in charge of this. That's it. Happy to get your feedback. Happy to support if you have some geospatial topics or companies.
I can have a comment on the links that you sent. If
Go ahead, yeah, for sure.
I'm in dialogue with some satellite companies, and of course they have a lot of data, but they don't know anything about the data sharing part. They have no clue, and they just sell bandwidth to the satellite for IoT devices, but they have no clue how they can support the customers to share data and run AI. So I know they are looking for cases.
So I can help them, and that's exactly why I triggered this Space Data Space initiative, and I can share with you details if you're interested in with you or with them. The idea of this Space Data Space is to provide information derived from data generated by space assets. Because in agriculture, in finance, in health, they don't care if the information is coming from space, aircraft, in situ sensors. They do care about information when they want, where they want, at a cost which is affordable, according to interfaces they master. So it's up to the space ecosystem to adapt to that. And that's exactly the rationale of this space data space. And this space data space is a cross-space spectrum: Earth observation, navigation, telecommunication, even exploration. So yeah, happy to discuss further with the more appropriate.
What we are just a comment. What we are also helping them with is that if you are working with satellite, I mean there are two things. Also, I guess we will talk about that: the data provenance. How can you trust the data? Because that is important. The other thing is that these satellite companies, they burn asset every day because they don't have enough clients. So I'm also helping them to tokenize future access to satellites embedded in the wallets.
Yeah. Yeah, we should speak further offline, Matt.
All right.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking the same. Mark, you didn't say anything. Are you comfortable staying quiet, or do you want to share something?
The only topic that I could share with you, it's maybe a subject that you know very well. It's about temps, because it's the most experienced that we have as a data space. And how problem for me, I am on the business part, on the task to define a business model to the data space and the services, and particularly ER services around this data space. And the problem is not a technical problem, but the coherence, I don't know it's a good term, but of the market and the coherence of data that you have to share, because there is a big difference in that project, but I think it's a general project between an audiovisual program, an audiovisual content, which has a very big value in comparison itself as a data, in comparison with a media press report, and so it's difficult to share at the same level.
And we've lost Mark.
Maybe Mireille, you were mentioning the fact that you face clients who have issues with data sharing.
Yes.
Sorry, Mark, you're back.
Okay.
Yeah, we lost you for a minute, Mark.
Sorry. So for me, it's not a technical issue. In fact,
I can help you. We lost you when you were explaining that the types of data were very diverse in terms, and the kind of use cases were very diverse, and we lost you there.
Yes, and the problem for me, it's not really a problem of technical references of the data, how to label the data, or and about the protocol, because we have a lot of industrial company around the table to do that, and Startin'blox is one of them. But it's more how to evaluate the business model for the whole data space regarding the difference of value of the data itself. So.
Is the AI experiment we are running in Thames, Sylvain, addressing that or not at all?
I guess it's a bit early at this stage. I guess we're just opening the possibilities for the different trial projects in Thames. So we're showing what's possible and how, so that they can mature it internally and see how they could integrate it in their business model. The Thames project was not built in the beginning around AI, and so there's a kind of a awkward situation where during the project people said, oh, actually we need to take care of AI, and so yeah, we're inside this turn, I guess, at this moment. So yeah, I was saying, yeah, you opened very interesting comments on how your clients face issues with sharing data. Is there something you could share about it, like a concrete examples to make it more
accurate?
Yes.
Yeah. Right now, I'm still relying a lot on Simon for the very technical part of it. What I was bringing to the table is the expertise of the different businesses and the usage cases that we believe we can help with in a company, in an organization. And our entrance token is different whether we have a business managers who really well know the properties of his businesses. He knows that his data have been elaborated throughout the year and the life of the company in different shape, different formats, different files. And it worked. It often worked throughout assistance, or it kind of works. Sometimes they have a versioning problems, but they keep on going this way. So he's not mastering the AI. He knows he has to get a foot in there, and if he wants to update the company's value. And we have to bring the technical reassurance through the tools Simon was talking about, boost semantique and grab, etc. But meanwhile, we have to make sure that it does really answer a real need, and of course, secure the security of the data. I think we kind of make progress, and it goes very fast because we update the technical answers that we have, and AI is not always the answer. So we try to find a balance here to corroborate our values as well as being sovereign and frugal in our answer, in our solutions answer. This is what I'd have to say, basically.
And is there a challenge of accessing data outside of the organization, or is the worry of go ahead.
I might give the microphone to Simon here because I haven't followed a client yet to the MRI. part. But yeah, I will ask Simon to answer this part.
Can you repeat, Alex, the question, please?
My question, so you guys are voicing privacy concerns basically for data, and my question is it privacy concerns for data that it's inside of a company, or is it or privacy concerns cross organization basically?
Both is possible. Inside the company, generally, we keep specific tools linked to agents, and the specific tools can ask and write and read data in information system with token or with authorization of the user. And if the system don't allow the access, the agent don't access to the data to respond to the user. That's inside context, and with outside context, it is the same, and it is in this case that data space could be a good solution. But in this context, data space have to manage authorization and contract and access control. And in that case, the solution could be semantic web with access control, and could be graph rag, for example, with access control. And that's my question in this time. Does data space have to keep semantic logic and old school data storage, but that makes sense to keep those solutions, or does the data space could evolve to GraphRag, for example, because in GraphRag we can keep as the access control and the user control and all metadata we want to use. We can aggregate all data from lot of source while keeping access control and while keeping metadata of those data.
And it's interesting. I'll dig into that for sure. For now, the experiments we've seen is that semantic web is kind of stands its ground, but it makes AI systems more accurate, but it's still a thing, let's say. But I don't know GraphRag, so I'll have a look at it, and it might fit into the picture in a way or another. I will need to ask Benoit.
Pleasure
Martin,
to cooperate in this domain.
Yeah, definitely. That's also what I was thinking, that we probably need to follow up on a call just to share each other's slate and see if there is room for at least cross learnings. For sure there is, and maybe something else. Martin, you've been very quiet. Are you comfortable remaining quiet, or do you want to share something?
Yeah, I'm comfortable staying quiet, but we don't do a lot yet with AI itself. We collect a lot of data, so data from wearables and from patients along the way, from scientific questionnaires. And based on that, we do some basic pattern recognition to determine, is the insomnia improving? Is it getting worse? Is there a risk of fallback? And we enrich the patient profile, but we're not very far ahead in actually implementing AI. I do see in healthcare a lot of possibilities there, because basically what we do now is this pattern recognition, and we test different ways of doing therapies. So over the long term, you could do a format of automated A/B testing to improve therapies. But that also would require a lot of technical capabilities that we don't have the resources for at the moment. So I do think there's a lot of possibilities. And I do also think that as for the concerns of data privacy, I was expecting that would be more of a barrier than it seems to be in certain cases for for the patients themselves, as in that sense that if they go to the doctor, they want to be open because they want to be helped. So there might be some that don't sign up because of it. We don't have a very clear view on that, but there I do see that that seems to be okay. Maybe that's different if it's like financial perspective, where it's considered like in Matt's example with the machines. There might be some other concerns that we see less if it's about our own health.
Yeah, my experience on that point is that people, they share their data when they see value in the service. So if you're clear, if you're open about what's going to be done with your data and that people see value, data sharing actually is not really an issue.
Yeah, we do really notice that. We also, in our business model, we offer our solution at no cure, no pay basis, which also might add to the trust in a way. But
Mandana.
I'm a little bit curious how you think about monetization of the data, because that is something I have to convince the people I'm working on. Why is it worth it? And one way of doing it is that you tokenize access to the data, and every query is one token, let's say. And one case is I have friends investing heavily in longevity, and potentially you can send in a query to the data and then get information how you can live longer, basically. So
I personally, I don't know if somebody wants to speak to that.
go ahead first, Alex.
I personally have never seen such a scheme working. I'm not saying that it couldn't, but I've never seen it. What I've seen experimented, so not working at scale, but what I've seen experiments of, provided added value services on because you shared your data. And I can speak to the case of the ag data space we're working on, where ranchers basically share their grazing data with the system. So they say, this is the amount of carbon that is in my ground, and this is how I manage my livestock. And they get recommendation back from the system. Like, if you would do this or that, you could make your operation more profitable. In the end, it's about money. So we can make you more efficient if you share your data. And this is why they accept to share. So, and I've seen that in different contexts. I give the example of hack, but I've seen it working in different contexts. So I've seen experiments of this trade, like share your data, you'll get added services back. I've never seen an example of share your data, you'll get money back directly, like just for sharing your data.
I saw a light example of that, of an experiment in that direction with a financial application that that you bought at different supermarkets, and if you would be willing to share your data, you got a little part back. But I don't think that project really took off as much as initially was expected. I think afterwards it sizzled down. But that was the first experiment with saying, okay, am I willing to share my financial data and then possibly get a few euro cents back. But again, I didn't see it then. Yeah.
Are you able to share the reference of that experiment?
Yeah, it was called Cake in Belgium, but I don't know if they got taken over. I'll look up if it is cake.finance.
Emmanuel, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I second what you mentioned, Alex. Trying to sell your data alone or together through a data space, that's a data marketplace. I'm not convinced. For me, I see the value. If you are creating with your data and others added value along a dedicated use case, and that's part of what I was willing to mention to Matt. You need to start from the use case. So as a user perspective, what are they expecting? Are you able to address the information they want through a sharing data mechanism? And if yes, who are the stakeholders along this specific value chain from the information required down to the initial raw data? Who are the stakeholders involved in? And the value you are creating, so the price of the final information derived from a number of data sharing operation, the value will be shared among the stakeholders. And that's, I see this way creating revenue for each and everyone involved in the value chain. But again, per use case, and not, okay, I have plenty of data, look at this, and then buy and you will be happy. I've never seen that.
The case I'm working on is it's actually the investors and the institution giving loans that wants the data, access to the data, because they want to see what kind of risk they are taking. So in my model, potentially the investor or the fund that we are building up will be a co-owner of the machine through the wallet. And that makes it possible for the investor to put pressure on the equipment owners. If you don't share that data, we can't evaluate our risk, and then you won't get any credit to buy the machine or whatever. So this is what we are.
But then it's a kind of flow or regulation. Basically, a buyer or a bank is imposing something to whomever is requesting what they could provide. So it's not a law, but that's mandatory, basically. And as it is mandatory, either you're sharing and you're getting your loan, or you're not getting anything.
In our case, it will. In our case, that the fund that we are building up will be an owner indirectly of the machine as well. So it's a new game in a way that we are trying to play.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And as a side note, for me, the first step for joining a data space, whatever type, is the mindset. You should be convinced that joining a data sharing initiative will bring to you personally, as an entity, more value than trying to do everything yourself alone. If you're not convinced, forget. Do it alone.
In our case, it's. I mean, if you take the big players like the big NVIDIA and Microsoft, and they don't care about. But if you're a small player in the semiconductor world, you have to have credit somewhere, and if this is a way for us also to lower the entry barrier in this. And what you're giving away is access to evaluate the risk that the investors are doing.
Another thing I'm seeing in the ag space is that basically McDonald's want to be able to claim that they stored carbon in the grazing lands of their producers. So to make it simple, they produce beef in an indirect way. Yeah, they buy beef from people producing meat, and they want to be able to claim that in the grasslands where this beef was produced, I have captured carbon. And why was I saying that? Yeah, they are in the, or they are in. I'm not saying that McDonald's is in the data space yet, but they are showing interest for sure. And the reason why they are showing interest is because, as you said, let's say, Emmanuel, even if it's a bit indirect, they think it will be a more efficient way to collect everybody's data than if they go and ask the 10,000 farms they are working with, or maybe 100,000 farms, to have to collect the data directly. So they see it as a more efficient way to collect the data, let's say.
Sorry, I have to leave, but I find this very interesting, and thank you, Alex, for setting it up. I think this is very valuable for me, this network. So
yeah, definitely, and I think there are several discussions I want to have following up this call. So for me, it was also very, very useful. I think we all got to leave. We are about at the hour now. So unless somebody has a last intervention to make, we can wrap it up here and wish each other a very nice day.
Thank you very much for organizing, Alex. Likewise,
Well,
enjoyable conversation.
Thanks a lot for everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
See you. Bye.
same. Bye, everyone.